But launching trade war is not the solution. If anything, I think it will make things worse.
Do you expect to see a slowdown in Chinese investment in the US?
This year, for sure, will be slower. I mean, 2017 was already 30% lower than 2016, although 2016 was a huge year. I suspect 2018 may be even lower. We'll certainly be more proactively looking for those deep.
President Trump makes an appearance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, or at least his cartoon does.
Hey, it's Donald J. Trump, or as you all know me, the source post to the president.
The event started off with this video of an animated President Trump addressing the crowd. Real president skipped last night's dinner, which, dating back to 1921, roasts the commander-in-chief and the current state of politics in front of an audience of journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Comedian Michelle Wolf poked fun at Trump's policies while also commenting on the media's coverage of him.
So Trump, he had to borrow money from the Russians, and now he's compromised and not susceptible to blackmail and possibly responsible for the collapse of the republic.
Okay, it's April 29th, 2018, 9:39 a.m. Once again, it's April 29th, 9:39 a.m., 2018. We're looking out of the windows of 255 West 43rd Street, the 6th floor. We're looking at the twin chimneys belonging to John's Pizzeria. They're located at 260 West 44th Street. It's still a little chilly out today. And as luck would have it, I would have taken these pictures about 10 minutes earlier, but I was actually trying for 1 second, which I never have, soaking in the bathtub. And I smelled this and I had to stop bathing and then come out here and document this because the DEP says they don't see anything. They don't see anything because they're not looking out my window at the right times. Come between 8 and 10 o'clock. It's now 9:40. Okay, it's April 29th, 2018, 9:43 a.m. I'm using my cell phone to, using my cell phone to videotape my regular Nikon D3400. See right here, we'll just see. Okay, I'll turn this over to the Bloomberg. Has the time and the date. It's the only channel that I know of that can confirm both the time and the date.
Suddenly, last night, we get a clarification, but also a softening of the position of the US government. They've extended the amount of time that companies can still deal with Rusal, and they've taken other steps to ease the effect of sanctions. Finally, they said that if Oleg Deripaska, the billionaire who has been synonymous with the Russian aluminum industry for 20 years plus, if he exits the company, then that might be a way out for Rusal.
Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska planning to keep control of Rusal. That's according to people familiar with the matter. The aluminium giant fighting for survival in the face of US sanctions. The indication was that if Deripaska goes, the US goes light on Rusal. Deripaska wants to stay. Explain.
Exactly right. The whole aluminium market has been in relief since Monday, when the US Treasury said if Deripaska relinquishes control, we'll lift sanctions on Rusal. I think there's been a lot of assumptions going on in the West among traders that therefore that would probably happen and the sanctions will be lifted. We're reporting today that Deripaska, who's known as one of Russia's great corporate fighters, has no intention of going.
Norway's state-controlled oil company Statoil said first quarter profit increased 32% amid rising petroleum prices and higher output. I wanted to start with your expectations for the oil price. Do you think the oil price comes down from here?
Well, I definitely think the oil price will continue to be volatile. So it's fundamentally a cyclicality into the commodity and volatility. And what we see these days is that global storage levels have come down to more normal levels, and then we see an oil price that is even more receptive to geopolitical events and which impact the oil price.
The shakeup continues at Deutsche Bank. The company naming today Frank Kuhnke as COO, replacing Kim Hammonds, and reports also today that the bank may be considering extensive cuts to its cash equities business here in the United States. That's as part of the wider restructuring of its investment bank. Let's talk about this change in the COO and tell us what we know of Mr. Kuhnke, because just looking at it briefly, it looks like he really is an admin kind of guy. He knows systems, he knows controlling risk, he knows computers.
What's particularly striking about this guy is that he's been with the company for 32 years. He joined in 1986, so he's been with it even longer than the new CEO, Christian Sewing, who joined in 1989. They're both basically lifers, and they're both German. So Christian Sewing, who came in at the beginning of the month, replaced John Crying, a Brit, and now Kuhnke, he's replacing Kim Hammonds, who was ousted not too long ago, and she's American. So it's definitely a turn towards, in the leadership, towards Germany, I would say.
Wells Fargo investors have had a pretty big day, and so have the company's critics. One notable critic calling for changes is California's treasurer. He told Bloomberg he wants Wells Fargo CEO Tim Sloan to step down.
Wells Fargo is not improving its practices. They defend the culture as being appropriate. That proverbial dog doesn't hunt.
Compared to last year, we didn't have any stops in the meeting, but we definitely have a lot of people standing up and wanting to talk to Tim Sloan, wanting to hear from him on various different issues, both from the consumer bank, but also from things like foreclosures, medical costs, all kinds of issues here presented to Tim Sloan and Betsy Duke as her first meeting heading Wells Fargo as chairwoman.
General Electric's annual shareholder meeting taking place today as the company comes under pressure to fire the auditor, KPMG. Just when it seemed that GE shares were on the mend after its first quarter results, it gets hit by another piece of bad news, with Moody's downgrading its ratings outlook on GE to negative. And there were protests outside of the annual shareholder meeting as well. Just how agitated are GE investors right now?
A lot of what we saw today in terms of the protests are GE retirees who are upset about the fact that their health care benefits were walked back. They're upset about the fact that GE's share price is down so significantly, eating into some of their retirement savings. So that's a lot of what we heard today in terms of shareholders who got up to sort of raise their concerns to John Flannery. You brought up the credit rating outlook. That is a big deal because GE relies so significantly on commercial paper to fund its day-to-day operations. Any sort of rating cut is going to have ramifications there. KPMG was ratified to stay as GE's auditor, but the percentage was about 65% of participating shareholders for KPMG. Last year, that was about 95%.
China has eased its grip on capital outflows, raising the quota for funds to invest in securities overseas. What are the practical implications of this move?
Yeah, Yvonne, this is a move that's been broadly welcomed by economists and analysts. What it means is that institutional investors here in China will be able to buy more securities abroad. So what they've done, the government sets a quota and it has relaxed that quota and it's increased the amount of securities they're allowed to buy from about 89 billion US dollars, a little under 90 billion US dollars, to about 98 billion US dollars as of April the 24th. So it does give those institutional investors more options, and it seems to be another step towards this gradual move to open up the financial markets here in China and see the markets and investors here be more integrated with the global system. So it should be seen in that context. But yes, it's been welcomed by economists and analysts. It is seen as a significant move.
DocuSign, one of the leaders in the electronic signature business, has become the latest company to go public. Shares are soaring out of the gate.
When we think about our opportunity, even though the TAM that's right in front of us is still 50 times our current revenue of $500 million, we think the total opportunity is much larger.
They close at 8.
function in particular you'll find useful is QUIC Go. It'll lead you to our quick takes, where you can get important context.
Okay, it's been been over 29 minutes and it's still smoking. So how can the DEP say it's not, you know, the guy showed up here and said, oh, there's no smoke here. There's no smoke here when you come, but that doesn't mean it's not going on all day. It's still going on all day. You just came and went. You didn't stick around long enough. You know, I never said it's non-stop.